Hello, this is Coach Chuck, or Dr. Charles Meakin, 30-year cancer doctor turned charity coach. And I've worked with all kinds of patients, but mainly cancer patients. And my goal has always been to bring simple, affordable, accessible health priorities to the patient and encourage them to use it 80% of the time. And that usually gets the job done. One thing I commonly did with cancer patients during treatment was I talked to them about the big six. And I always try to make acronyms and whatnot so that people can remember them, and typically I put this on the board and ask them to take a cell phone photo of it to remember it. And this is what after I explain to patients about the cancer and the risk and side effects and the goals and whatnot, I'd say, well, what do you do during treatment? How do you best live during this to thrive? How do you make an opportunity out of this? And the big six was my way to give them a map of how to go forward. Well, the big six is, as you might guess, the B stands for breath. Breath. Breath is really our first nutritional element, and amazingly, most of us don't get it right. When I talk about breath, I emphasize nostril breathing. And many of you may know this, but when you breathe through your nose, you activate a part of your nervous system called parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the rest, digest, and relax side of your nervous system. And that's where we want to be, because you cannot heal if you're in the other side, the sympathetic, which is fight or flight or run from the lion. You can only run from the lion at that point. And boy, a cancer patient needs to be in parasympathetic. There's actually, interestingly, some even treatment outcomes based on better parasympathetic activity or breath work. So it's real important to stay in your nose, as I say, and the best way to do that is create a smile so your mouth is closed. And when you get those worries or get those concerns, you want to zip the mouth, stay in your nose, go to some positive thoughts. And especially if you have, some pets or some mold or some trouble in your air, it's real important to purify your air and try to keep your air clean at the home. You can have internal air pollution, external air pollution. Try to keep this passage clean by some morning house cleaning to whatever you can do. But the first B is for breath. The second one is I. I for ingest water and ingest real food. It's real important to make water your drink. Did I say make water your drink? Yes, and it doesn't have to be fancy bottled water. I usually say get filtered tap water. The bottles in bottled water really leach out petroleum products, and it's good if you have to travel and don't have any options. It's always good to have a impervious product for your water, BPA free or something. But tap water filtered is good. I like to add in the morning some sea salt to it, maybe some magnesium from magnesium supplement. I do some vitamin C, and make that first 2 cups or 2 mugs of water in the morning almost a ritual. Make it the first thing you do. You want to slam it down. First, you want to bless it. Ask that water to do good things in your body. And then you want to drink it, and that starts the detoxification process. It wakes up the brain, especially if you have some sea salt in it that brings the electrolytes you need. It's a very important first step. In fact, I would say it's probably one of the most important health strategies I learned 20 years ago. I also advocate another glass or 2 in the mid-morning and mid-afternoon. So make water your drink and really start out the day with a ritual of drinking 2 mugs of water, maybe with some electrolytes added to it, maybe with some other things added to it. The second thing is ingest real food. What is real food? Real food is food that doesn't have a label on it, doesn't need a label, because you know what it is, an apple, a broccoli, spinach. 50% of the added carbohydrates we get are through processed food, where fructose corn syrup or wheat extract, soy extract, corn extract are added to it, and those are empty calories that activate insulin, and they're not our friend. So stay in the perimeter of the grocery store, eat real food, the kind of food your grandparents would recognize. That's my byline with all our patients: eat the food your grandparents would recognize. Generally, this is non-processed and low carb. And don't drink calories. Make water your drink. If you want to do tea or coffee without sugar added or without, man-made additives, then that's not a bad choice either. Tea and coffee are medicinals, and in real terms, they're not bad for you. The G in big is to get moving. During treatment, a lot of times we're told, time to rest, you need to lay low, let people do stuff for you. Well, that is going to do nothing but make you weaker, expose you to disease by not opening up your lungs, as well as, at the end of it, you're going to lose a lot of muscle strength. And you don't want to go through treatment only to start over in life. The other thing is, when we do exercise, and all studies have verified this, we actually activate cellular messaging that do things that are beneficial to a cancer patient. It turns off some inflammatory cofactors that make cancer cells grow, and it activates some messaging that makes normal cells healthier and the brain healthier, a brain-derived neuropeptide, things that will keep you strong and vital throughout this. The other thing about staying moving is it makes us continue to be independent and self-sufficient. The worst thing we can do to our cancer patients is to sort of neuter them in their life, and they don't have much going on. And so I always say, you don't have to do too much, but do a little. Make a daily routine, make a ritual, keep a journal of keeping some activity going, whether it be a walk, whether it be some push-ups, whether it be some stand-up exercises, the chair squat, but get moving and stay moving. The S in Big 6 is sleep. And of course, we're hearing more and more about sleep. I'm guilty of it. I used to tell my kids, oh goodness, I can sleep when I'm dead. There's too much to do to sleep 8 hours a day. We now know that sleep is probably the most fundamental, important thing we can do in health and also through illness. And we want to sleep when the sun is down. That activates diurnal rhythm that synchronizes our cells, helps with the generation of growth hormone, which helps with sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, and androgens that restore the brain and restore the body. It's very, very important. In fact, I would say the single most important thing you can screw up is not getting good sleep. And sometimes we doctors give you medicines that screw up the sleep. Sometimes steroids are very important to give and save lives, but casual use of them will disrupt, it's kind of like cortisol to the body, it will disrupt the sleep cycles. Or if you tranquilize someone, give them sleeping pills. That will put you to sleep like a heavy dose of alcohol, but you won't get the restorative sleep, the deep sleep and the REM sleep. I like a way to measure sleep. I use the Oura Ring. There are other tools. I think the Oura has probably the best, measurement tools, and I really pay attention to sleep because I know how important it is. Blue blocking glasses are important, setting a ritual to turn down the lights and the screens as you get ready for bed. Sleep is so important with cancer patients. It's a question I used to ask people pretty much every day when I saw them under treatment. The next I is for intention. Intention. A lot of times people would come into treatment and say, yeah, of course I want to fight this cancer. And I said, well, remind me, this is after I've gotten to know them, why do you want to fight this cancer? They're, typically it would be, because I don't want to die, or I don't want to suffer, or I don't want to, end my life. And I said, well, I'm not being nosy, but tell me why you want to live and stick around. And as we peeled back the layers, we'd realize that a lot of people kind of forgot why they were here. And by rediscovering that intention, that alignment, what they're willing to fight for, you found a newfound chest or source of energy. Because if people know, if there's meaning behind a difficult course, they can do anything. And so by reigniting their purpose, their intention, why they're there, and typically it came down to, I want to be here with my wife, I want to do one more trip to the Rocky Mountains, I want to be here for my grandchildren. And sometimes, those goals are somewhat limited, because, sometimes I'd meet people near the end of their life and I'd say, well, maybe the intention that I'm hearing is that you're going to teach people courage during a very difficult time of life. And that's something that grandchildren and kids need to hear it's an opportunity. So set your intentions. Have a video of you doing what you love in the future with people you love. And every time you get a negative thought, those automatic negative thoughts, you revisit that video and you garner speed and momentum from it. And I suggest to patients the first thing in the morning as you kind of break from the sleep to the awareness, go to that video. That's how you bake it into your soul. And the last thing before you go to bed, you go to that video. So you marinate in it. And that video, that you with alignment doing what you want to do in the future, becomes a reality. That's how you take the idea in your brain and in your heart and make it a reality, by baking into it. The last thing I talk about with patients, and sometimes men, we get a little bit nervous around this, but the women would understand it. I talked to them about what X stands for, and they were thinking maybe exercise. Like, no. We talked about get moving. It's extreme love, extreme love. As you go through the cancer course, you cannot have baggage. You cannot fight wars that are useless battles. You've got to be liberated. I tell people, fighting those battles is like going through treatment trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a lot of effort. And then when you get weak, it comes up and it gets in your way. You got to surrender that stuff. You got to, fall in love with the people that are around you, the lovely family members and friends. You got to fall in love with your enemies and recommit to them and forgive them. You need to fall in love with the strangers. You got to live in a zone that will lighten you, and that will help you get through treatment much easier. So it's the big 6: breath, ingest water, real food, get moving, sleep is king, eyes for intentions, set your alignment, set your attention, revisit it with your video, and extreme love. Remember, this is Dr. Chuck from Coach It Forward Chuck. I'm trying to bring you simple, affordable, accessible health priorities that you can address 80% of the time. And remember, you are your own best doctor. Stay curious and strong. Thank you.